So here's the first one, and I tried to catch what mistakes I could. Most of you were pretty close, which is good, okay? And most of you, I think maybe only one or two of you forgot that parentheses on the -4, so good job on that, because that's usually the tricky part, okay? If you were like way off, I tried to comment that like the process, you need to make sure you're doing that differently. You have to subtract the 3. You have to give the 3 the same denominator as the other one, which is the x plus 4. The negative has to get distributed to both. I think that got one of you. And solve it, and my zeros are -4 and then -10/3. Set that up on the number line, and the in between is what worked. The -4 gets a parentheses because it would be undefined, and the 10/3 gets the bracket. All right, second one, same thing. You already have the 2 on the side with the other fraction, but you have to give it a like denominator, which is x minus 1. Distribute the -2. Solve, and I get -3 and +1. The in between did not work this time. So the parentheses are on the arrow pointing out. Again, pretty good on this one. Somebody just forgot the U. Just be careful. Make sure you separate those parentheses out. I said it before, but the test is going to take the U, a comma, or a semicolon in between, but you got to have something in between. All right, and then this last one, there's the number in the top, which is -5. And then there was 2 zeros from the bottom, -2 and +2. So you've got 3 of those, which means you've got to plug in a little bit extra. The pattern should be every other because none of those are the same roots. If I got a -2 and a -2, it messes up my every other, so just be careful. But because they're all 3 unique roots, -2, +2, and -5, that's going to be every other. This is a less than, not a less than or equal to, so they all get parentheses. And it should have been -infinity to -5 union, -2 to +2. Parentheses again on all of it. Questions before we move into your test review? Okay, so if you go to Canvas and you open it up, this is what it looks like. This is from the end of the chapter in your book if you're looking for extra practice problems. Remember, you have access to your book from WebAssign. And there's obviously extra practice problems at the end of the chapter. Remember, your test is 1.6 to 1.8. 1.6 had A, B, and C. 1.7 was one section. And then 8 had A and B. So we're talking, this is covering like kind of 6 days worth of notes. The 1.6 was the polynomials, okay, which started like number 81 there. Factoring and solving. Then we got into square roots, like 87. I added on here on the bottom 1.8a question 13 and 1.8a question 7 and 8 from the homework. 1.6b, sorry. 7 and 8 from the homework. Those also have square roots in them, and you definitely want to review those. Okay, remember that you can go back into your previous assignments and say practice another version, and it will give you an extra practice problem. So you want to make sure you also do those, okay? You're going to turn in the PDF. You don't need to turn in those WebAssign extra practice problems, but you want to turn in the PDF, and you definitely want to look at those. So we're talking square roots with 1 square root. We're talking square roots with 2 square roots. We're talking the 1.6a was the 2/3 exponent and the 1/3 exponent where we used a as our substitution. We plugged that in. Remember, that was not on your quiz, and I kept saying it's going to come back on the test. It's coming back on the test, okay? Then we move into, and the cube root. I would say that cube root, let me see what number that one was. You'll get, but those I think are the easiest ones because you're just cube rooting both sides. Let me see what number that is. Okay, something like number 6, which is this one, 6b. 6, 7, and 8, you want to review from 1.6b. The homework, like the WebAssign homework. Okay, then came 1.6c, which was our fractions. So you're not going to see the fractional ones without the inequalities. We kind of put them together. So you'll see the fractionals within the equalities, okay? But there are practice ones here, like 91, okay? Then came the absolute value, like 93, 95. Remember absolute value, well, you want to take that absolute value out, get rid of the absolute value and set it equal to the positive and the negative version of those things. A big note for you on the square roots is you need to check every square root and extraneous roots on rational, meaning the fractions. Okay, those are the two biggest ones you need to check. Okay, the ones with the square roots and the ones that have rational equations, meaning the like number 91, where you have a fraction in the bottom, you have to check those for extraneous roots. We will, like, obviously I'll go over these on Monday. The answers are going to be published at 8 a.m. on Monday, which is when the due date is on this assignment. Okay, we will spend Monday going through any kind of questions you've got. This is great because we've got an extra day to kind of like review the review. And I also have a class kick and a lockdown quiz practice so that you can practice those things. So the ones that are not on this, the ones I added on the bottom, I made sure to include on those things for Monday so we get some extra practice. 7 started. I think 1/7's here, right? All right, then this is still absolute value. Remember, if we've got absolute value with inequality, so these are all 1/7. You had your simple, just multiplying, adding, distributing, that kind of stuff with a single inequality. Then we had compound inequalities, and then we had absolute value inequalities. Remember, absolute value, if the absolute value is greater than or equal to something, we say it's an or. And if its absolute value is less than or equal to something, we say it's an and. So that would be something like 107. And then we got to 10, let me make sure, 107, good. The fractional one's not on there, so let me do that. Okay, also add from 1.7 WebAssign number 12. You want to review that too. So that gives you the fraction with the inequality. And then came 1.8, which is what we did, 3 days ago, and we finished up yesterday. Your polynomials where you've got to factor them, set your number line, and then test your points. And then the ones we just did on the warm-up, which was like 115 and 116. Remember that you have to change, well, not 116 because it's not an or equal to, but remember for 115, the denominator, whatever that 0 is, gets a parentheses, not the bracket that it normally would get because it's in an less than or equal to, okay? So when you move that over, you combine your like terms, you do all that, the negative one and the positive one on number 115 are going to give you a parentheses and not a bracket. Madison, you want to give me the questions you had from yesterday's? So if you're good on homework, if you don't have any questions on homework, you can start your review. You've got about 6 minutes to get a head start on it. Okay. A couple of things to remember is that the odds are on CalcChat. So you can be checking this as you go. It will give you the answers on CalcChat. If you click on the home page from Canvas, there's a link that says CalcChat. It will take you. This section, so when you have to identify the section, is R for review. Yeah, that last page is blank. Okay.